You're gonna love. You're gonna love this. Supreme Court bans protests on its property, its grounds. The Supreme Court has come up with new regulation banning demonstrations on its grounds 2 days after a broader anti-demonstration law was declared unconstitutional. The regulation bans activities on the court's grounds or buildings such as picketing, speech-making, marching, vigils, or religious services that involve the communication or expression of views or grievances engaged in by one or more persons, the conduct of which is reasonably likely to draw a crowd or onlookers. Now, I'm pretty sure laws start off as a bill, then it goes into law once the Congress passes it, the House, then the Senate, and then it goes to the president's desk to sign into law. How does any organization say no protests are allowed? Protesting is guaranteed in the Constitution. And notice how it says they came up with a new regulation. That's kind of like a city coming up with a new ordinance that is something against the Constitution. For example, back in Florida, every single park that you went to used to have signs. Some of them may even still have them, actually. No alcohol, no whatever, no firearms, prohibited, firearms prohibited in the park. And the state of Florida, thank the Lord, declared that no city in the state of Florida can have that sign up because there's already the Constitution, of course, but not that matters too awfully much when you have to go and get a concealed weapons permit from the state to have a firearm in which the Second Amendment says you can have and shall not ever be infringed, and says you can bear it, not just conceal it. Anyways, follow me for a second. They told the towns and the cities, for every time that you get caught with a sign that says firearms prohibited, they're going to fine them I don't remember the number now, it's been a long time ago, but it was a pretty hefty fine that the state was going to fine the counties and the cities and the municipalities for leaving that sign up after they'd already declared that sign basically unconstitutional, if you will, or at least unlawful in the state of Florida. So that's kind of what the Supreme Court's doing. We're just going to create a rule, new employee handbook for everybody. Here you go. Doesn't matter if it's lawful, we're the Supreme Court. So what happens when the Supreme Court comes up with the regulation and then people say that's unconstitutional and try to fight it? Does the Supreme Court see its own case? I wonder how they'll find themselves. I bet it'll be a close one. 5-4 ruling again. It was okay. Not unconstitutional, Unbelievable. Says the casual use by visitors or tourists that isn't likely to attract a crowd is not banned. That may be a way of addressing the concern posed by a federal judge who threw out the law barring processions and expressive banners on the court's grounds. In her ruling Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell said that law was so broad it could criminalize preschool students parading on their first field trip to the High Court. She also wrote that the Marshal of the Supreme Court, quote, has the authority to prescribe necessary regulations to govern the plaza, which is what the Marshal did Thursday. So they do have authority to prescribe necessary regulations to govern the plaza. But again, I can't be a city or a municipality and say, well, I'm the mayor. I have the right to come up with a regulation here for the way that we're going to do something at the city park. And my new regulation says that I can sleep with every man's wife that comes into the park. And under subsection C, my favorite subsection of all, subsection C, the mayor has the right to create ordinances and whatnot. The problem is when you create an unlawful ordinance, it's null and void. Kind of like the state of Florida did to the municipalities in my example, which is a fact, by the way. So yeah, they have the authority to create a rule book, so to speak, but it doesn't mean you can just create laws by yourself when the Constitution says you can do this, and then you say, well, but our little ordinance we just made up today in our little playbook, our employee handbook, we changed it. So screw the Constitution, our handbook means more, and it doesn't have to go through Congress, doesn't have to go through the president. this is just, it's mind-boggling to me that in the year 2013, how frequently, how much of this crap keeps coming out over and over and over. New York Senate passes a bill to annoy a cop, you go to jail. Felony. Not even a misdemeanor. Felony. Annoy a cop. Annoy a cop. Annoy him how? Like, look at him wrong? Maybe he's having a bad hair day. Had a little rough morning, got up late. He's late for work, he's pissed off. You annoyed him because you were breathing too hard when he was talking to you. I mean, what is that? And what was the other thing I just read again today? Same Senate. The New York politicians, they want to make it illegal for anonymous free speech on the internet. They want to know who everybody is, who's commenting, who said it, who you are, where you live, everything about you. No more free speech anonymously. You can't just stand there. You got to understand something. If I choose to walk somewhere and hold a sign or protest or do anything, no law enforcement officer can come to me and say, give me your ID, I want to see your ID. They can say, may I see your ID? And I could say, you may see a warm glass of shut the hell up. And that's about it, because it's not lawful for me to show you this. And you understand how cops will ask you. They will ask you for your ID. They won't demand it or tell you lawfully, I want your ID. May I see your ID? Or do you have ID on you? You don't have to answer that. Or you could say yes. You're supposed to have ID on you at all times. So you could say, yeah, of course I have ID. Can I see it? No, you can't. It's not lawful. They have to have probable cause, reasonable suspicion that you are the person of interest in some potential crime or whatever. You're doing something wrong. They've got some suspicion, not just suspicion, but reasonable suspicion. You match the description of a guy that was, throwing rocks through windows. You know what I mean? Something. Then they can demand it and tell you, I'm giving you a lawful order to give me your ID. However, they may still try to do that to you sometimes to try to trick you. So, anyways, just giving you an example there on how that works. So, they want to have back to my speech here. If I was standing on a corner protesting something or holding a sign up that I didn't appreciate something, no one can come up to me and ID me to find out who I am. I have the right to be secure, as the Fourth Amendment and whatnot gives me. No papers, please. That crap doesn't work. If I do something wrong, then yes, papers, please. Oh, okay, yeah. I did do something wrong. Here you go. So, in New York, it's the same thing if you're on the internet. And they're not even protesting. You're just making a comment. It's just crazy how fast and how things every day is just something new that's just beyond absurd. And it's like, it's not even a joke. It's not even from that website, that little comedy thing. The Onion makes up these little spoofs, and you think, oh my God, is that real? Because it looks like it, but it's so absurd. Oh, I had the Onion. Never mind. Okay, it was a fake. This isn't the Onion. This is Realist News. And this is really happening right now. This is unbelievable.